Okay, so the Figge Art Museum has been a proud partner and supporter of Living Proof exhibits since the relationship between our two organizations began years ago. It has been my personal pleasure to work side by side with Pamela Crouch, Executive Director of Living Proof exhibit, along with members of its board and artists, as Living Proof exhibit has grown and expanded its reach throughout our community and beyond. Of all the wonderful and important programs the Living Proof exhibit brings to its members, the exhibition that is held at the Figge every 2 years in the Mary Waterman Gildahouse Community Gallery is one of my absolute favorites. I'd like to thank Brian Allen, Studio School and Education Galleries Coordinator at the Figge, who worked with Pamela and her team to curate this year's exhibit. And of course, I'd like to thank Pamela and her team and the exhibiting artists. Without your passion, dedication, hard work, and talents, this exhibition simply would not be. Thank you. And thank you to all of you who are joining us tonight. We're excited to host this opening celebration. So with that, I'm going to invite Pamela Crouch to take things over and get this party started.
Thank you, Melissa. And thank you to the Figge. Our partnership goes beyond just the exhibition. We also are very grateful for being able to have our creative sessions at the Figge. And thank you to Melissa, thank you to Brian and everyone at the Figge. You truly do connect people to the arts. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Royal Neighbors of America and the Iowa Cancer Consortium, and also our board members, Dave Beck, Mary Ellen Cunningham, Luann Hayden, Amy Jones, Rachel Pitchford, Terry Reinhardt, Andrea Schlin, Terry Van Winkle, Linda Waston, and Terry Wilson. This is our 10th year. In 2010, when we founded, Mary Ellen Cunningham and I co-founded the organization, we had no idea what it would look like in 1 year, let alone in 10 years. And well, it doesn't look, the celebration doesn't look like anything we imagined. But you know, cancer doesn't really work out the way you expected either. So I have been so incredibly overwhelmed and impressed with the beautiful artwork that these cancer survivors have shared with us this year. And we're thrilled to be celebrating 10 years of providing the therapeutic benefits of the arts to people touched by cancer. Now, this exhibition is all cancer survivors from within 200 miles of the Quad Cities, and it's the only program that is limited to cancer survivors. Our creative sessions provide an art medium that anyone impacted by cancer, family, friends, caregivers, they can learn an art medium as unique as Sumonagashi ink to ukulele, and use that throughout their time that they might be feeling the stress from a cancer diagnosis. We also have Art to Go projects for people who can't get out, and exhibitions of art at the hospitals. And on hold right now, but is our virtual tour program in partnership with the Figge. We have met the pandemic and are hybrid in our sessions, and you can find a lot of our materials on our YouTube channel. With that, I would like to start talking a little bit about all of the artwork. There is, if you're able to get to, that's okay, Melissa, if you're able to get to the Figge, and I do hope all of you visit and all of you become members, then you'll see this work in person. And I'm going to be reading the artist statements. As I said, everyone here is a cancer survivor, and some of them share their stories and their statements, and some I might be sharing little bits as I've gotten to know some of these artists over the years. So our first artist, we're going alphabetical, is Mary Ansel. And as you can see, Mary does wood carving. This piece is called Love. And her story, when a routine mammogram led to a biopsy and breast cancer diagnosis, I was scared and became depressed. The mastectomy and chemotherapy took a toll both physically and emotionally. Art became a great distraction. Art was something I always loved, but it was also the best way I could think of to take a little hope and control back in my life. Mary, as you will find out from many of our stories, Mary chose to go to the arts when she was struggling with her cancer diagnosis. It's a common theme amongst our artists. Marla Andesh is a jewelry artist, and this is Bluebird Pendant. Marla also teaches for us in our creative sessions and just taught a polymer clay pendant session. You can find that again. You can find that on our YouTube channel. Creativity and healing are inseparable in the lives of artists. Whether you are a cancer survivor or surviving the fear and anguish of the world's life, art can help you heal. Art just makes you feel better physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Making wearable art has given me a way of expressing my style. I get inspiration from art pieces, fashion, and nature. I derive enjoyment from wearing my pieces and giving them to others. Carol Brandt uses cut glass mosaic on natural stone, and this piece is called Hope. Always delighted by the beauty of nature around me, it continued to be the inspiration during my cancer recovery. The process of assembling mosaics became my passion and drive. Eventually, though, experimentation, my canvas became God's humble stone. Every size and shape, polished by weather and time, an absolute jewel in light in the garden. My desire for those who connect with my work will feel a sense of joy, hope, and belonging. Carol told us that when she was going through her cancer journey, putting each little mosaic piece into a pattern kept her calm and kept her focus and became her version of meditation. And the results are stunning. Kent Broadbent is an artist who uses cold wax and oil. I do hope that you can get into the museum to see this. There's such great texture to it. And from Kent, this is called Indian Summer. My cancer journey began on February 15th in 2010. Following surgery and treatments, I went into a deep funk. Why did it happen? Why was I the lucky one to survive when others had died? When would my cancer that I still have take my life? He was still depressed in the winter of 2013 when he found his old paints in the basement and started painting again. He found that he forgot about feeling sorry for himself when he was creating art. And he says, I hate cancer, but had I not been diagnosed, I wouldn't have started painting again, not caring if sometimes I create bad art, which I do. Because of cancer, I am now on my third and most rewarding profession. Lisa Craig. Lisa is a fiber artist. And when I reached out to her to see if she would be able to join us this year, her response was, all I've been doing is sewing masks. Well, if that doesn't say 2020, I don't know what does. So she created a couple of masks, and these will be on display. This is called Found My Calling. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2013 and with metastatic breast cancer in 2017, as a result, I became more involved in raising money for Goldman and the American Cancer Society. I originally made chapstick holders and sold them to raise money for these causes. When COVID-19 became a thing, I started sewing masks for people. Originally, I was giving them away, but people wanted to pay me for them, so I decided to have them donate to my teams for More Than Pink and Relay for Life. I've made more than 300 masks and raised over $3,000 for my causes. I will amend that. She just posted on Facebook that she's raised over $5,000. I find sewing relaxing. It feels good to know I can provide a useful product that makes people love and help, and great causes at the same time. My apologies, I'm a little, I've got allergies, so we're gonna be kind of rattling here once in a while. Well, I'm up next. And this is one of my photographs. Like many of the artists, I have multiple media that I work with. So at the exhibition, you will see some of my fiber work, and you will also see some of my photography. And this is called Girl in a Blue Dress. It is inspired by my favorite painter, Mary Cassatt. And I'm just going to read you my statement. I find myself drawn to mediums that have an impermanence to them. Air-dried clay and handmade paper are easily dissolved in water. Pieces of ephemeral and delicate dried roses are not meant to survive. Even my photography, sometimes shot on film and never photoshopped, is a fleeting moment in time. And yet, when these mediums are used to create art, they tell a story, show strength, and leave an impression, even if temporary. I hope my work inspires all who see it to cherish each moment. I am a 4-time cancer survivor. My last cancer was not too long ago, but we just keep moving forward. Mary Ellen Cunningham is also a photographer. This is a digital photography on metal. Since I co-founded Living Proof Exhibit 10 years ago, my life has undergone many changes. Most of my early work was photography, and in the ensuing years, I've tried other forms of artistic impression. I've enjoyed working in acrylic, oil, and the field of interior design. During the COVID-19 shelter in place, I enjoyed watercolor painting. Despite my other artistic endeavors, photography remains my favorite medium. The digital photography exhibited here is from my trip to Florida's West Coast this past winter. I decided to explore printing on metal as a new form of expression. The beautiful colors of the outdoors called for a more vibrant presentation. I find the process of creating a perfect way to focus my mind on something besides my health issues. We have another photographer coming up, Pat Dilla. He grouped us all in order. We're not all gathered together necessarily, usually. This is Bronze Horses from Pat. When she was diagnosed with breast cancer shortly after her first child was born. Life was hectic with work, caring for a new baby, and undergoing chemotherapy, and undergoing a mastectomy. The outdoors has always been a source of joy and relaxation for her. So when she had a moment, she would step outside with her camera to grab some shots of the beauty around her. And it's in those quiet moments that took her mind off of what was going on in her world. No matter how she felt, getting a great shot kept her positive and showed me all the beautiful things in our world, no matter how small. Still today, as you see her current work, Mother Nature is still her inspiration. Again, the artists are reaching during times of worry and despair, they're reaching to the arts. And I think all of us are really doing that, especially with the shelter in place, and especially now that we're not traveling as much. So just noticing some of the beauty close at hand and creating art from it is pretty spectacular. Danielle Eisenstrauger, ceramics and hand-blown glass. I'm going to just read Danielle's. College is a time of exploring and finding out what is most important to you. In the fall of my sophomore year of college, my doctor informed me that my thyroid was enlarged. A year later, I was officially diagnosed with thyroid cancer and had my thyroid removed. During this time, I decided to stay in school as my main priority. It was a challenge to focus on classes, yet this is the time I found out how important art was to me. I was a psychology major and beginning to question if I had chosen the right path. Art was helping me get through my everyday struggles. I later came to realize that art was a necessity in my life, and it was something I had to share with others. I changed my major to art my senior year, choosing to take a 5th year to follow this passion. Bob Espinson, another photographer, and this is Kissing Coyote. You take a quick look at that. Look how still that water is. Be able to capture the moment that the coyote was taking a drink. Bob has so much patience, and you can see that reflected in his nature photography. He is a 2-time cancer survivor, in 2005 and in 2017. Since recovering from the stem cell transplant in 2006, he wakes up each day grateful to be healthy and able to pursue his passion for nature photography. Cancer has made him realize that tomorrow is promised to no one. It made him realize that I have limited time to share my talent, and he strives to make his work inspirational, and hopefully generations to come will see how beautiful our world is if we take care of it. So thank you to Bob. He goes on to thank Living Proof Exhibit for providing him with an avenue to share his work with others. Again, I do hope that you get into the Figge to see these works in person. Meg Gutman is an artist who has been with us since the very, very first exhibition in 2010. And this is called When is a Dress Not a Dress? When it becomes the woman who wears it. It is obviously mixed media. And let me just read you Meg's, please. Over the course of 30 years as a performing artist, I somehow regarded my interest in the visual arts, design, art history, costume, collage, guilty pleasure. I already had theater, dance, and music as means of expression, so why take focus from those pursuits? My cancer treatment 22 years ago gave me the opportunity to step back and think about how I wanted to spend the rest of my life. I put aside the guilt and went for the pleasure. This piece is an autobiography in the shape of a dress, featuring home and parents, marriage, love, sex, singing and dancing, books and clothes, and a couple of junk drawers. It's inspired by Joseph Cornell's boxes and Dali's Venus de Milo with drawers. Judy Heath is a watercolor artist. And this is a piece, you may recognize it from some of the publicity that was out from the Figge. This piece is called Bridge of Sighs. Judy's work is stunning, and as are all the artists. But if you have a chance to go back and visit Living Proof Exhibit's Flourish Garden Walk, you will see another one of Judy's pieces in it, and it's entirely different than this piece. Vibrant, and just the contrast is very interesting if you'd like to take a look at both of her pieces. From Judy, art is something I've loved all my life. Being completely immersed into the paper or canvas is a guilt. The first time I had cancer, my daughter and I decided to go to Italy after treatments were finished. That's where I saw the building in this picture. I decided to paint it, was diagnosed with cancer again, and worked on it between treatments. I hope to keep going. We hope so too, Judy. Gina Kirschbaum's free-range chicken is vibrant and full of humor and fun, much like Gina herself. This is an acrylic mixed media, and when you see Gina's pieces, they are all lively. They sometimes have sun in them, and because Gina is a melanoma survivor, so she's always painting with a lot of life and energy. As a child, this is from Gina. As a child, I was always drawing, coloring, painting, and creating. It was my thing. As an adult, life took over and my art was put aside. Married with 3 boys and a full-time job, there was just no time for my art, though I squeezed in creativity whenever I could. In 2008, cancer took over my life. Diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma, I spent all of my time and energy doing everything I could to live. It came back 2 more times. No longer able to work, I found that I was bored and depressed. Then I found art again. Art gave me back my life. I am alive, and I believe that's what my art embodies. Joy, color, and above all, life. Sue Lemon. I'm sure that you're going, from the title of this, you're going to know exactly who she was inspired by. Girl with a Pearl Earring is a mixed media collage. Sue is fearless in her art. And I'm not going to read, her story is beautiful and a little lengthy. I'm not going to read the entire thing because want to talk about a couple of things. Sue took her first art class 18 years ago at age 62. For all of you who are saying, I'm not an artist, I can only draw stick figures, Sue literally says, 18 years ago, that's all she could draw. But she started taking the art classes, and every year she comes back with a new and exciting art medium, a new technique that she has learned. And as I said, she's fearless. And I think that comes through in all of her art and just in general in her life. She thanks God every day for her life, her friends, and her art. It is a miraculous gift in her senior years. I never expected to have, and I will never take it for granted, she says. Art gives me a chance to communicate my gratitude to him and share my gift of life. And thank you, Sue, for sharing your art with us. Tara Mormon is a watercolor painter. She does many other things, but this Metamorphosis is a watercolor. And I'm just going to read her story. I create in an attitude of oneness and unity that connects us all. My vision and intention is to infuse my art with divine light and love so that all who view the art will be inspired. She too was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma in September of 2001 and again in 2004. Her cancer brought her a new awareness of what was really important in her life, her family and her art and like-minded friends. She says that the gift of cancer focused her personal and creative energies on her purpose, to use my passion and spiritual connection to inspire and uplift others to see the beauty within themselves. You can just get lost in her paintings, and they are stunning. Renee Ramos, another artist who has multiple pieces in the exhibition, and this is photography. The reason I chose this, quite frankly, was the title, Circle of Looming Destruction. It's a cheerful little piece, isn't it? But it's very powerful, and sometimes art has to make a stop. It can't always be flowers and butterflies, although I do love flowers and butterflies. Sometimes it's not. It's really important for us to just stop and take a look at something and slow us down. And Renee, let me just read you Renee's, please. Her journey started in the summer of 2009. She had just completed nursing school, was 2 days from going solo on the nursing floor, and was getting ready for their annual vacation. After numerous tests, I had not one but 3 tumors, and one being a very rare for breast cancer. Cancer took a lot away. The Living Proof exhibit gave a lot back. Through Living Proof exhibit, I started to draw, paint, and work on crafts again, something I'd lost somewhere along life's journey. It gave me a place where I could escape, a place where cancer doesn't exist. Terry Reinhardt is our next artist. And this acrylic on hand-sewn fabric is called Mom's Bag. This was made at one of our creative sessions. Gay Shannon Burnett taught a session about painting on fabric. And most of us were just painting flat. Terry saw that she could take her piece and create something three-dimensional. She's a 10-year breast cancer survivor, and it's been a very transitional year for her with the loss of her 89-year-old mother. Both of her submissions this year were inspired by her mom. Mom's Bag, let me explain this to you, according to Terry. My mom was a fierce competitor and thoroughly enjoyed beating us when playing the tile game of Rummikub. When taking a class on painting fabric, I decided to make my art usable. The fabric bag looks like the board for the Rummikub with its 4 colored tiles. Mom loved the bag. I can still see her pointed, crooked fingers shaking at me when thinking through her strategic game moves. It's beautiful, Terry. Twyla Robinson. This is Twyla's first year with us, And she submitted a bound art journal, and this piece is Tomato Toast. We were really excited when Tyla asked about submitting art journal. We have a very inclusive idea of what art is, and you can see that we have photography and oils and watercolors, hand fat fiber pieces, just a big variety, ceramics and jewelry. But we hadn't had anybody do an art journal, even though many times we teach writing, and we talked about doing art journals. So I'm hoping everyone will be inspired by Twyla's Tomato Toast and start doing some art journaling. She's tinkered with art since high school, when she became fascinated with pen and ink lettering. In college, she became interested in needlework design. After that, she explored quilting and is specializing in pot holders made from repurposed textiles. From there, card making, stamps, watercolor. I love this expression. She's just trying all sorts of exciting things. Then about 7 years ago, she stumbled into art journaling class and realized this is it. This is my cup of tea. So much variety. No rules, freedom to experiment. If it doesn't work out, just turn the page and do something completely different. Since having cancer in 2015 and retiring, I am grateful to be able to spend more happy hours at my art table. Thank you, Twyla, for sharing this. Linda Sykes' watercolor monotype is called Prairie Light. And Linda has taught classes for us on watercolor monotypes. And what's beautiful about this kind of an art is that for most of us, now Linda knows what she's doing, but for most of us, when we're painting on the glass and then printing onto the paper, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And so there's a bit of the unknown and a bit of excitement, and then there's beauty and art. Whenever we've had these creative sessions with the monotype, we run out of paper because people are so excited about all the beautiful art. From Linda, I think making art is one of the best things we can do for ourselves when fighting cancer. As we become more involved with the colors and lines of what we are doing, our bodies relax and heal. Our minds also relax and heal. As we go through our journey, our art changes just as our bodies and minds transition. Yes, I'm letting you breathe for a second. All right, on to Laura Goldman. Laura Goldman Weinberg. This just explodes off the screen, doesn't it? It's called Bullseye, and it's acrylic. And Laura's art is a way for her to express the wonder and joy she feels in her heart and soul. Nothing can take away her inner spirit. She had an advanced stage of breast cancer and went through aggressive treatment. After that journey, she realized as a multimedia artist that she wanted to share more of herself and her various creative artistic expressions as a way to inspire and uplift others' lives with a renewed sense of hope and joy. Laura has shared with us her book that she's written. She's written several books. She has a CD, and so when she says multimedia, she really means multimedia. And we love that because the arts are not just the visual 2D arts. The arts include music and writing and gardening. If I could figure out a way for us to, and Melissa will have to talk about this, how can we figure out a way to have the culinary arts on display? Yum. I believe that that's also a wonderful way of expressing themselves. Ron Weinberg, yes, notice the two names, Ron and Laura. They are married. Married couple, both impacted by both cancer survivors. Ron's work is photography. His 3 pieces that he has tell a very strong story. This is called Hanging by a Thread. And from Ron, my cancer journey has opened my eyes to appreciate life and all of its majestic beauty. I enjoy using the camera as a tool to help me focus on aspects of life that can often be overlooked. I see the beauty in all God's creation. When I look through the lens, my creative eye captures those very special moments in time. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. I my photographs reflect just that. I said that earlier, we're moving on to Barbara Youngquist. I said earlier that we have all forms of art, and Barb has the most amazing weaving pieces. This is Joseph Shawl, and I'm going to just read Barb's story. I'm a 25-year-old ovarian cancer survivor. My interest in knitting was enhanced during my chemotherapy as a distraction. I was seeing beautiful handiwork come together from the stitches and colors. Each stitch to me represented various journeys in life and how we can make it beautiful even during difficult circumstances. The final gift is the happiness I see in my family, friends, and community supporters. They enjoy the designs I create with knitting skills, weaving, felting, spinning, photography of my flower garden, and acrylic pouring. Difficult times will forever come and go, but the beauty we create in seeing others enjoy our efforts will always be there. Barb has multiple pieces in the exhibition because weaving, and as you said, if you listen, she said the acrylic pouring and acrylic painting. So multimedia again. Our final artist is new to us this year, Richard Zed. He's a ceramicist, and this is Node 17. I just need to read you this. I have always been drawn to circles, and wheel-thrown ceramics is all about the circle, the continuum, the perfection of form, the wholeness, and all its abstract meanings. This body of work is very personal for me. These pieces were thrown when I escaped the reality of my cancer diagnosis, diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, and subsequent treatment and chemotherapy, and spent time away from it all in the studio, working towards that wholeness. I lost my hair during 6 rounds of chemotherapy. The hair used in firing these pieces, traditionally horsehair, is my hair that I saved. I am in every piece of this collection, literally. And Richard ends up being our last artist that we're talking about because of the alphabet. But also, it's so powerful. It's so powerful that all of our artists have bits of themselves in each piece that they create, and each piece, as you've heard over and over again from their stories, each piece is something that they've used to escape their cancer, to lift themselves up and lift up others. That's why we call this exhibition a visualization of hope. When you're diagnosed with cancer, the first thing you want to know is, am I going to survive? These artists represent not only survivors, but people who have thrived and grown, and they find such joy and in the arts. And so we are extremely thrilled to present Visualization of Hope at the Figge, once again celebrating our 10th anniversary. And I want to say thank you very much to Melissa and to the Figge for having us here. I am making sure that I'm still online. I did get bumped off somehow.
No, you're on, Pamela, and we're just so grateful for you. So thank you for making this exhibition a reality, and thank you to all of our artists who contributed. It's been such a pleasure learning more about your pieces which are on display. For those of you who are hoping to get to the museum, I just want to remind you that everything will officially be open hopefully next week. We had this little elevator incident, which I alluded to earlier in the evening. We do have all of the 2-dimensional works on display, a few of the 3-dimensional works, and because of a long story that I won't get into now, we'll get the rest of the 3D works on pedestals and on display hopefully next week. So Pamela, do you have time to take a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. So first, we have a question. Is there a catalog of the show? And if not, what do you think about that?
Is there a catalog of the show? There is a written program, well, sort of. There's a program from what I was just reading, and that will be available both online, and then I know that the Figge, Brian, is working on getting QR codes set up so that when you are at the museum, you can use your smartphone and access the story for each artist.
Excellent. And I included that knowing the answer already, but of course wanting to hear from you, but also because it's a pretty cool idea that maybe we'll have to think about in future years as we continue to partner and grow.
That would be lovely.
So we do have a couple comments here about how wonderful it is to hear from you and to still be here celebrating artists. I know many of us have not shared a glass of wine, but had a glass of wine together in the community gallery during a different version of this exhibition in the past. Please know that in spirit, we're all here doing this together again, just from the comfort of our own homes. So another question then, Pamela, is what comes next for Living Proof? What are you most excited about as we head through these uncharted territories together?
Well, one of the things that we found out during our creative sessions, when we had to go remote, we had to have everything virtual only, we found that so many people responded to that because when you're in treatment, you can't actually, a lot of times you're just too exhausted to come to a creative session. So moving forward, we're always going to have a version of a hybrid. So we will be in person, socially distanced next year, but we're also always going to have them online. So we're very excited about that opportunity because once things are online, we're not limited. Just like I know that you all are finding this out too, that people who are not within our range of the Quad Cities and a little bit beyond the Quad Cities, people who might want to share this with their family or friends in San Francisco or New York or Houston, Texas, that they can do that now. So our mission can be shared at a wider, to a wider audience, and we can make a difference in more people's lives.
Extremely well put.
I talk with my hands. It's really hard for me to sit like this.
Well, and I mean, we all do the whole waving at the end of a meeting, which I never do in person, but I'm going to keep doing that even when we're back in person. I also think you and I should continue to dress alike. This is nice.
I think we can.
Okay. So just, I think that was very well put about, the silver lining of all of this in terms of being able to connect with groups and people we haven't been able to in the past. Just for those of you who do continue to follow the Figge's programs, I know I see a lot of familiar names on our participant list tonight. Even when we do go back to doing programs in person, we're excited to continue seeing what the virtual realm is going to do, for the programs and our connectivity moving forward. Pamela, we do have a comment here just about how honored artists are to be in the show and how grateful they are to be in the show with each other. So I know you're working on that virtual version of the exhibition that we'll be posting to the website soon. Artists who are perhaps unable to view it, we'll get you in there somehow so you can see this. For those of you who are, just remember that we are encouraging visitors to check the website for updated information on museum hours, visitor sessions, where we do recommend advanced registration, although it's not required. But we do have current policies and procedures that are on the web too, which will make it a little bit easier. And then I just wanted to thank you again, Pamela, and encourage any of you who have questions that come to you in the middle of the night. Maybe you don't have them right now, but you wake up and say, oh, I can't believe I didn't ask this question. I will never be able to carry on if I can't have the answer to it. Many of you are connected with Pamela or with Living Proof already. You can send those directly to her. Also, you did receive an email from me tonight if you registered through the Figge's website, so you're welcome to reach back out to me and I can get that question answered for you. As long as Pamela still accepts my emails after tonight, we should be good to go. Just so you know also, we did have a little trouble with our Zoom to Facebook Live. So for those of you who missed part of the program on Facebook, apologies, we are going to end up posting the whole program, which we recorded, so we'll get that to you. But in the meantime, we hope you enjoyed what you were able to see. And if you have any questions on Facebook Live, again, just reach out to the Figge's page and we'll make sure to get those answered. Again, we are seeing many more thank yous coming in from people all over the community and beyond. So Pamela, well done. Artists, congratulations. What a night to celebrate. We hope to see you again next Thursday, October 1st at 6:30 p.m. Central. We'll be hearing from 3 of our artists who are featured in the exhibition. Same format here, although we know exactly what we need to do for Facebook Live now, so we're all good to go on that. So you can also watch through Facebook. Pamela, is there anything else you wanted to share before we conclude for the evening?
Just thank you to all of the partners. And I'm getting interesting. Thank you to all of the artists. Your talent and your generosity to share your stories, it makes a big difference in the community, and people really appreciate it. So I usually have everyone stand up and take a bow, and we all celebrate, like you said. So just please know how grateful we are and how incredibly proud we are to be able to share your work. And thank you again to you, Melissa, Brian, everyone at the Figge. Thank you so much for supporting our mission all these years.
Truly, it is our pleasure. So well said. I think with that, we'll go ahead and conclude the formal part of the program this evening. Of course, reach out to us afterwards. I hope you all are staying safe and sane and, continuing to create. We're all in this together, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you all. Good night.